Good evening. Welcome to this evening's Board of Education meeting. Before we begin, I'd like to share with the audience that if you are in need of a Spanish translation services, we have Lupita here to assist you.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Nada más quería compartir con el público que si necesita servicios de interpretación al español, estoy aquí disponible para asistirle.
Thank you, Lupita. On behalf of the board, we'd like to share a reminder regarding the process for public comments during board meetings. For each agendized action, discussion, or information-only item, the board will hear from staff, provide an opportunity for public comment, then hold a board discussion and a vote if necessary. This is outlined on the second paragraph of the first page if you need more clarification. Public comment on non-agendized items will be heard during item 7, and public comment on closed session items will be heard during item 10 before the board adjourns into closed session. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on items on the board's agenda or otherwise within the board's jurisdiction. To help us organize public comment using this system, if you wish to provide public comment, please complete a speaker card located at the entrance to the meeting room and provide it to our executive assistant to the superintendent, Michelle, over in the corner. Speaker cards for public comment will be accepted prior to the calling for the public comment portion of each agenda item. I call this meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. and would like to now establish a quorum by roll call vote.
Board President Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
And may I receive a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Board President Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Notifying the audience that the open session will be audio taped, broadcast, and recorded for the district's YouTube channel. And Rita, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure, thank you. Okay, ready, begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, reports. These are routine status updates regarding campus activities, meeting schedules, and recent developments from our student board representatives and our union presidents from the ACT and the CSEA. This evening, we do not have reports from the CSEA or ACT, so we'll start with our student representative, Juliet Norman.
Thank you. I would like to start by congratulating Tularcitos on behalf of all students for being recognized as one of California's top performing schools in academic excellence and in closing opportunity gaps. This is our first week back after break. This is our first week back after break, and students seem refreshed and reinvigorated after having last week off for the October break. Many students are now excited for another big event in October, Halloween, which is on an early release minimum day this year. Celebrations are being planned from pre-K to high school. The middle school will have a Halloween dance the Friday before. High school kids will have costume contests, and the elementary school will have Halloween parades. Right after Halloween, Shoe Week starts. At the high school, the entire week leading up to the traditional shoe football game against Pacific Grove on November 8th is a Spirit Week, with a rally and parade on Friday and the game on Saturday night at PG. On Veterans Day, Tularcitos is organizing a fun run at CMS to raise funds for the Veterans Transition Center in Marina. The district will also be supporting the community on October 28th by hosting a college fair with over 50 college representatives open to all high school students in the greater community and throughout the entire Monterey County area. The high school theater production of Little Women was a great success. There is another chance to be entertained and to support our theater programs coming up at the middle school on November 14th and 15th at the CMS drama production of Attack of the Giant Grasshoppers, a comedy adventure about science, chaos, revenge, and of course, giant attacking grasshoppers. Inter-school community relations are also being fostered through the performing arts. The high school dancers have performances planned in the coming weeks at River, Tularcitos, the middle school, and Captain Cooper. The public can see this performance for themselves at CHS on November 20th and 21st. Fifth graders at Captain Cooper will also have the amazing opportunity at the end of this month to go on a 4-day science camp where they will increase their science knowledge while exploring creeks, sandhills, and redwood groves in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Pre-K to third graders also have field trips this month to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and fourth and fifth graders had a field trip to the Emil Norman House where they were inspired by this incredible artist and deepened their appreciation of Big Sur's artistic heritage and legacy. Remember, River is having its fall festival this Friday, and another event you don't want to miss is the much-anticipated Carmelo Triathlon on November 17th. The kids will be pedaling their little legs as hard as they can to ride their trikes, scooters, and bikes around the Blacktop racetrack, earning their pledges. Join them at 10 a.m. to cheer them on. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. On agenda item 3, a superintendent report. This is a routine status update regarding campus activities, meeting schedules, conferences, and meetings attended, and recent developments from our superintendent, Sharon Ofek.
All right, good evening, everyone. I hope everyone actually had a joyful and restful October break. With fall, we always find ourselves very busy and during an exciting season of events and activities in our schools. So whether it be through campouts, fall festivals, athletic events, musical events, theater productions, regardless of what you're attending, the weeks are always full of learning activities and the opportunity for community connections. During October break, we also celebrated in the state of California the Week of the School Administrator. Since we were on break during that time, I just want to take a moment right now to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation for our school site administrators. Their commitment, professionalism, and daily dedication to our students, staff, and families truly make a difference that we can see every time we visit those campuses, and even when we receive their messages through Parent Square or any other method. We know that great leadership begins with a commitment to growth, reflection, and service, and our administrators embody that every day. That same spirit of reflection and growth was evident in the work of our Board of Education earlier this week when board members engaged in a thoughtful conversation around self-evaluation and refining our district's governance handbook. Their willingness to reflect, improve, and grow together demonstrates the servant leadership that defines our district and their commitment to ongoing learning. And today, finally, as we recognize Unity Day, we're reminded that our collective strength comes from kindness, inclusion, and unity. Whether we are students, staff, family members, or community members, we all play a role in creating welcoming and supportive learning environments where students can learn, grow, and thrive. Together, as we continue to move forward, we are grounded in gratitude and united in our shared commitment to the success and well-being of all of our students.
Thank you, Sharon. Agenda item 4, consent calendar. The board may bundle a number of items and act upon them in one motion through the use of a consent calendar. Consent agenda items are routine items deemed to be non-controversial for which board discussion is not anticipated and for which the superintendent recommends approval. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the vote unless any members of the board request specific items to be removed for discussion.
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Thank you. And there was no request for public comments.
Board President Jason Remenzi,
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello,
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines,
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer,
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Agenda item 5A, social emotional learning presentation with Director of Special Education, Dr. Steve Gonzalez.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me here tonight. Good evening. So building hearts and minds together, as you can see, this is a brief presentation on the social emotional learning programs and supports within the district. Again, I'm Steve Gonzalez, the Director of Special Education, also the District Coordinator of Section 504, and I help support the implementation of school-wide or district-wide social emotional learning and mental health in the district. So as you can see, we welcome the development of the strategic plan, and there are two really key focus words that I want you to take in. And here you can see the strategic objective, number 2, assess and improve. Assess and improve the P12, that's preschool, through 12th grade social emotional learning program and related mental health supports in the district. And the reason why I want us to focus on assess and improve is because we always want to continuously identify what our needs are in the district, and then also continuously improve and implement the programs and services to support the academic success in the district. Typically, when we provide a presentation, we share bar graphs or charts, but we also have to remember that behind every bar graph or chart, there's also a data point with a story. And so I just wanted to share with you some examples of how students are feeling, how a parent is feeling in regards to the support that they're being provided. And here you can see one student at Carmel River Elementary School, and they are really appreciative of actually identifying their feelings, being self-aware, and that's due to the work of Mrs. Danielle Wells, one of our school mental health clinicians. And then you can also see a student being thankful that they're identifying their growth. And then a parent at Carmel River School, or Carmel Elementary School, River Elementary School, excuse me, that they're very appreciative of Veronica Kraft, one of our school counselors, being able to connect their student with others at the school site and really build the friendships and the relationships. So who are our SEL, our social emotional learning champions in the district? When we look at this slide, 7 years ago, there were only 2 bubbles. There were only 2 circles here. And as you can see, we have 7 today. And that is because we've intentionally have done the work of increasing and implementing and scaling up the social emotional supports within our district. We recognize that, of course, it's important in that in order for us to scale up, we need to strategically plan. Here with the school mental health clinicians, in the past, we did contract with Monterey County Behavioral Health, but what we identified was that in order to really support our students effectively and quickly, identifying their needs, it was important for us to scale up and really employ our own district-wide mental health clinicians. The reason why it's also important is because when we were assessing students in regards to students who are on IEPs, the partnership with Monterey County Behavioral Health was essential, and we still have a really good partnership with them, and it's ongoing. But what we found was that they're operating on a medical model versus an educational model. And that's a key takeaway, because if a student is assessed on a medical model and if they are needing the support in school, they may not qualify for those services. So it was essential for us to really hire district-employed mental health clinicians to support our students and to be able to meet their educational needs. And as you can see, as we did hire the mental health clinicians in our district, we have 2 physical locations, one at the middle school and a wellness center at the high school. And the purpose of the wellness centers is to assess students with managing social emotional challenges that could impact learning, social functioning, and academic life. And the school mental health clinicians offer a safe and supportive environment to help students work through difficult situations, personal growth, as well as helping students make positive choices. Here you'll see a quote by Mrs. Lorena Cruz Rodriguez, and she's one of our clinicians at the high school, and I think she just walked in. Sorry, Lorena, if I put you on the spot. But really, she is a shining example of really exemplifying the purpose of being able to help students grow and to acquire essential skills that will really support them in life. So why do students seek support? Stress is the #1 reason why we're seeing students seek support. Specifically at the high school, approximately 36% of the students who do seek support is due to academic, relationship, and social stress. What we also see, secondly, anxiety is around 22% at the high school specifically. And so, again, students have needs, and we want to be able to address their needs in a timely manner. The other takeaway here, the quote by a senior at the high school, he comments how he met with the school counselor and then he was connected with the wellness center. And the main point that I want to share here is that there's a relationship between staff. When they're talking to the school counselor, there's an entry point if there's a need to then make a referral to the wellness center so that they can get help. So who can refer a student? You can see a teacher can refer, parents, administrators. In 2024 and 2025, there are more than 1,000 student referrals. Some of the referrals are duplicates, so it could be the same student, but what we are seeing is that they appreciate the supports and they're getting access to the wellness centers. When we look at the referrals from students in 2024 and 2025, 32.7% of the referrals were from school counselors and from the nursing staff. When we look at self, meaning self-referrals, these are referrals directly from students. 22% of students made referrals themselves to the wellness center. So what this means is that they're doing a great job reducing the stigma, that they're identifying that if they have a need, it's okay to ask for help, which is important for us. So if we remember any visual in the presentation, this is one visual that I would want you to walk away with, and because it really provides us a framework and an infrastructure to implement evidence-based practices. Also, within each tier, we're wanting to look at data to help identify students when they need the support and to get the support to them as soon as possible. The other thing that you can think of is when you look at this visual is it's sort of like a blueprint. So if you're building a house, for example, you would want a blueprint to be able to help guide the next steps in building the house. You would want a team. You would have to get permits. And so the concept is very similar when we're implementing large initiatives. And when you look at Tier 1 supports, this is basically saying that all students should have access to either academic, social-emotional, or the behavioral expectations, and that they're taught. If students need a little bit more based on the data, if they need more support based on the data, then they would be offered Tier 2 interventions. And again, these are small group interventions for students who are identified as having similar needs. And the 20%, that's an indicator. It's based on research. It's an indicator telling us that we shouldn't have more than 20% of our student population at a school site receiving those interventions. If it's more than 20%, that means then it's maybe a systems issue that we're having to address. And then if they need more support beyond that based on data, then we would want to offer intensive individualized supports. So typically this might look like specific one-to-one individual work with our clinicians for a short period of time, or it might include specific individualized behavioral support plans. The other takeaway that I want you to notice is that you'll see the green, again, is layered all the way to the top of the triangle, meaning that even if a student is receiving Tier 2 or Tier 3 interventions, they're always exposed to the Tier 1 school-wide interventions or what we call universal supports. The other thing, when we look at the number of students on IEPs receiving mental health services or who have a behavior support plan, that comes out to about 2% of our total enrollment. So these are just examples of the practices and the programs that are being implemented at the preschool to the 5th grade grade level. I just want to point out a couple of them. One of them is Second Step. That's actually a research-based, evidence-based program that's being implemented by our school counselors as well as teachers at the elementary sites. And when it's implemented to fidelity, what we should be seeing is a decrease in problem behavior and an increase in pro-social skills. At the preschool level, Carmelo Child Development Center under the leadership of Laura Dunn, they're implementing the pyramid model. And the pyramid model, again, is a research-based model designed to promote pro-social, social-emotional skills, as well as behavioral outcomes and family engagement. And all of their teachers have been trained in that model.
She's right there.
Oh, and there's Laura. Thank you, Laura. At the middle school, under the leadership of Principal Morgan and Assistant Principal Jen Barnes, as well as the school counselors Melissa Magretta and Sarah Greco. Although Sarah Greco is she is the active family liaison this year. And then our mental health clinicians, Claudia Akala and Susie Bajari, they're implementing a number of social emotional programs that you can see. One of them that they have implemented is the Healthy Futures program, which is out of Stanford University. And this is a program, it's an educational opportunity for students to help prevent and reduce the use of vaping. The other one is Ohana Day, which we're familiar with, a long-standing program at Carmel Middle School. And that's designed to educate 8th grade students to provide them with the platform to discuss healthy decision-making, specifically concerning drugs, to alcohol and tobacco. At the high school and Carmel Valley High School, under the leadership of Libby Duthman, of course, you could see that they are implementing, again, a number of Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 interventions. I do want to note that at the high school, they're very, very intentional about obtaining the feedback from 9th grade. And 9th grade is a very pivotal time for students. And so when they get that information, they really tailor their interventions to the 9th grade population, and also working with the families to help establish a balanced schedule for the students, knowing that academic stress can be a main factor for them. They also provide wellness breaks for all students. If a student does need a break, a 15-minute break, they have the opportunity in a structured manner to be able to get that break to help them self-regulate in a quiet environment. And at Carmel Valley High School, along with Principal Tom Perry and our school-based mental health clinician, Ashley Robinson, they're coordinating very closely together with the team. When there is a student that is needing support, they do provide that support in a very, very efficient manner. What they also do is they've created a referral process so that, again, if any teacher needs to get access for a student for mental health support, they go ahead and make that referral. So when we look at the attendance rates, this is one indicator, one student outcome that's important for us to review. We know that there's a direct link between social emotional learning and attendance. And what is interesting here from 2022 all the way to the present date is that this is very consistent with our implementation of the wellness centers right after COVID. And so, although there could be many factors, that might be one specific variable that has impacted our students' attendance in a positive way. So we know that everyone plays a role, from our cafeteria staff who might notice a student having a hard day, to teachers who integrate SEL into daily lessons, to families who reinforce emotional skills at home. Social emotional learning works when it's woven into the fabric of our entire community. We also know that when our teachers and our staff, both classified and certificated, are both emotionally and physically healthy, that they are meeting the needs of our students in an effective manner. So one way that we're doing this is that with the leadership with Dr. Right there, we have Mary Petty and the educational team. They've contracted with the Mindful Leaders Project to really support our staff, and it really helps them identify, when they're feeling stressed, how to self-regulate, and how to be present for our students, which is very important. And then we also formally have the Employee Assistance Program, which is a confidential program for our staff as needed. So aligning our core values and funding. What we know is that in our organization, we align our budget and our core values. This is evident in that we allocate over $4.4 million to support student safety and wellness, as well as staff programming in our district. We value the social emotional learning of our students, and every student has access to support. We emphasize early intervention, which is focused to prevent small challenges from becoming a crisis, and we emphasize tools and strategies for teachers to create classrooms where students feel safe, seen, and supported, which ultimately creates a foundation for academic success. So in closing, I just wanted to share this note, and this was to our school counselor at the middle school, Mrs. Magretta. And it really emphasizes that our staff don't give up. We reach students early to offer support, and we help students thrive in creating welcoming environments. So in closing, social emotional learning is not a program we add on. It is a foundation for which all learning thrives. And when we invest in students' hearts and minds together, we invest in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. We did not receive any requests for public comments. Does anybody on the board have any questions or comments for Steve? Go ahead.
Steve, thank you so much for a comprehensive presentation. I'm really happy that Carmel Unified now has wellness centers at the middle school and at the high school. This entire process started in 2013, so it's a long time in the making. And so I'm really happy and proud to see how it's grown since then. But just a couple questions. Let's see. With the students, is the data collected through the Healthy Kids Survey? What, I guess, mechanism are you collecting data from the students?
Yeah, that's a good question. The data that was presented tonight was directly from the mental health clinicians at the school sites.
Okay. And then in Tier 2, you had mentioned like a threshold. What is our percent at Tier 2? What percent students do we have in Tier 2?
That's a great question too. So when we implement the framework, we're wanting to get fidelity measurements to really identify which students and how many students are being offered the interventions. When we think of our grows and our areas of needs in our district and what we want to scale up, that is an area where we want to focus on specifically with Tier 2 because it is a gap that we're wanting to address. You know, which students, how many students are receiving the interventions, but that is actually part of the strategic plan that we're in discussions with to implement.
All right, perfect. And then lastly, it looks like 54.7% is through referral is through counselors and nurses and self. And I'm trying to go back to that page where
And I think that was 37%, around 37.
32.7 for counselors.
Oh, yes, yes.
And
yes.
then 22 is self.
Yes.
So the remaining was probably parents, administrators, peers. For parents specifically, do we have any programs or things like that for them to help, I guess, identify things at home with their child?
We do. There's actually, within the tiers, all the way from the most intensive supports, we collaborate with Monterey County Behavioral Health, and it's Heart Services is what we coin it, or they're identified as Heart Services. It's really a wraparound service. So if a child who has an IEP needs that level of support as a preventative measure, and they do go into the home up to 5 hours a week, or actually 6 hours a week to help support the family. And so that's one important relationship that we do have with Monterey County Behavioral Health.
Okay.
And that's through a referral process.
Through the referral process. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
thank
I
you.
appreciate all your hard work and please thank your entire team.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a comment. I know that the wellness centers were implemented around when I was in middle school, and it's been great to see all the growth that my peers have had since we've had about 7 years of wellness centers around us, and like reducing the stigma around, oh, let me go in and check and make sure that my mental well-being is taken care of, along with everything else that you have to deal with as a teenager. And I think it's great. I think a lot of people don't understand how easy it is to like get access to the professional and knowledgeable people that we have on campus just for us, because if you go through other ways, it takes a really long time to get directly with other people to work with you. And so I think it's great. You can just walk in at any time and be like, I need help. There's something that I need to talk to someone about. And then there's people there who have been trained in it and they know what they're doing. And I think that it's just great to have that resource right on campus where you can just walk very quickly to it if something happens.
Thank you so much for your feedback.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah, that is great boots on the ground feedback. If there's no other questions, go ahead, sir.
I just have a comment. No, I don't have a question. Thank you very much for that presentation. And thank you to all of the staff in the wellness centers. They're doing such amazing work. I remember a few years ago, right before our wellness center opened, going to a few other campuses that just opened their wellness centers. And I remember the board at the time, we were so excited to open the doors to ours, and they opened and we were so proud of what they were doing at that time. And now it's amazing what you guys have accomplished over the past few years, and all of the support and all of the guidance that you're providing our students with. And as Juliet said, I love that there is not a stigma of going into these wellness centers. The students feel really supported and cared for, and it's just a really positive environment. So thank you for everything you guys are doing. I also just wanted to thank you for also aligning your presentation with the strategic plan. I know the board has talked about this a lot, and it just feels really good that the strategic plan is being implemented in this way and everything's sort of folding, through it and weaving together. So I think the work that you all are doing is excellent, and thanks again to you and your team.
No, thank you for your feedback as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sarah touched on what I wanted to talk about. As you mentioned, I can go, right? You mentioned CUSD Forward, and are you the person in your team? Are you doing the implementation in the focus areas and strategic objectives that are in the strategic plan? Can you talk a little bit about the implementation or your plan for implementation?
Yeah. It's definitely a team approach. So it's a team with the Ed Services Department, and then also in collaboration with the site leadership as well. I've been identified as the lead for the social emotional area, so that would be 2.2 exactly. Focus area 2 for safety and wellness. What we're doing right now is we're really identifying our long-term roadmap. So really looking at year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. And really looking at what's doable, what's manageable, what's realistic, based on the needs in the district. It's really important for us to identify the needs. So some of it might also be exploration. So one of the key elements when we think of implementation science around either academics, social emotional, or behavioral is to think about how do we identify needs. For behavior and social emotional, it involves both identifying external needs as well as internal needs. And what I mean by that is externals, we can observe behaviors. And for when we're looking at social emotional elements, we also need to identify internal needs. And that sometimes might be the use of a universal screener for social emotional or mental health. And so that's in exploration, but that's one example of what we're needing to do, because we can see behavior, but if we don't identify children who might be sad or might have internalizing behaviors, then we really need a research-based, evidence-based screener to be able to do that.
I was just going to mention that, Steve provided a response just to 2.2. That kind of work is happening for every objective in our strategic plan. We can't start all 22 objectives in the same year, but we have assigned leads, as you just heard, and they're fleshing out what does that mean, what do we need, where do we go, how do we plan this out. So
Can I just say one thing? It's amazing for this specific part of the strategic plan, how much data you have now to work with. I mean, I remember years ago, the only way we were tracking how well the wellness centers were doing was like a sign-in sheet. Like, hey, we had 25 kids this week, right? And so you've come so far with all of the data and all the metrics, and I feel like you're poised just for success based on being able to put together a plan based on the data that we have now. So I think that's, another sort of win for what you all are doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think the growth in this area, this is something we talked about, this board talked about together in the strategic plan process, and the fact that we've seen so much growth over the years, and then we'll hopefully see more through the strategic plan, I think is really exciting. You touched on the employee assistance program. Another thing I think that this board talked about in the strategic plan was really focusing some of the social emotional mental support for also staff. So when in here it's employee assistance program, can employees utilize the facilities on our campuses and sites, or is that more of that's a referral to an outside source?
Yeah, that's actually under the leadership of our Chief of Human Resources,
Sorry.
Craig Chavez. But
That's
yeah,
okay.
so the Human Resource Department really works with our staff if an employee does need that support through the Employee Assistance Program.
I'll speak to EAP. So EAP is actually part of the benefits package our employees receive. And our Human Resources Department often refers folks to that resource because sometimes people forget that it exists. And we also have worked with our site leaders to also remember that it exists and refer folks who come to them with concerns to that resource as well. And then once you contact EAP, they have a bevy of offerings. Depends on what your issue is, though. So it's really comprehensive, and it's just part of the health and welfare package and benefits that we provide.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Steve. I think this is a really exciting conversation, and I'm glad that this came up, and it was a really good presentation, so thank you.
Thank you
And
very much.
sorry for the question, and thank you, Craig, too.
Matt, do you have anything you want to add before we move on to the next item?
Everything was kind of said. I guess the one thread and the one bit of gratitude, both from Juliet's feedback, which is, I don't want to undermine that. It's incredibly important to hear the student experience on the ground from what you experienced from middle school to now, that there's low stigma and that there's access, and that's key, because that threads what you said with what's actually happening, and the connection between social emotional learning and student achievement, that there's a direct through line, that this is not additional, this is not extra, this is not in excess, this is not it's not woo-woo, this is data-based, evidence-based, driven towards student achievement. That makes the whole school district better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much.
And this was an information-only item, so there will be no action necessary. Agenda item 5B, English Learner Program Update with EL Coordinator Kara Gober.
Okay, thank you all, and good evening. I'm here to present some information around the English Learner Program in Carmel Unified.
Kara, can I just, sorry, I'm sitting here thinking and realizing I would like to do a little introduction. Is
Oh,
that all right?
okay.
So this is Kara's first time presenting in front of the School District Board of Education and our presentation. And people might be thinking, like, isn't she the principal of Captain Cooper? Yes, she is the principal of Captain Cooper, but she is also the district's English Language Learner Program Director. So she works with our Ed Services team to make sure that our English Language Learner programs across the district are effective and have what they need and are supported and have resources available to them, et cetera. Everything that we would need to have happen related to creating a program around the students we have in our district, and that changes all the time, is on her plate in terms of that portion of her role. So yes, everyone might recognize her as a principal, but she is also playing an essential and key role in our district for a really important group of students and whose achievement we are working diligently to improve year over year. So just
Thank
a little
you.
introduction to Kara.
Thank you. All right, good evening. I want to start with a few key takeaways of the current English Language Learner Program. One is that it serves a wide variety of language learners, from Spanish to Hmong to Mandarin to Russian and much more. The proficiency on the English Language Proficiency Assessment for California, which is called the LPAC, continues to have high achievement and proficiency rates. The language acquisition program for English learners continues to be a priority in this district. And there is a shift in terminology from both the CDE and within our county and district as well, from just focusing on English language learners or using that title to using multilingual learners. And that's because multilingual learners allows us to have an umbrella which encompasses all the things from English language learners to dual language learners to students who are initially identified as English language proficient but are still multilingual learners. So it's a bigger picture than just those students who are learning English in our schools. So while for most of my program I'm talking about the English learning portion of this, it really falls underneath that multilingual learner. And one area as well, this is a key takeaway from the presentation, I hope, is that we're expanding professional learning for designated and integrated English language development for our staff. About the English Language Learner Program. There are two components under CDE Ed Code, which are the integrated and designated ELD instruction. The designated ELD instruction is a portion of the day that is set aside to focus specifically on the English language development standards, which are partnered with the English language arts standards. And it's targeted for those students and where they are within the proficiency level based on the LPAC test, and I'll talk more about that. There are lots of site-based supports in the district. There are English learner specialists, both paraeducators as well as certificated teachers. There are intervention teachers who also support with English language acquisition at sites, as well as tutoring. Family engagement and communication supports at two sites, Tularcitos and Cooper. There are ELACs, which are ways to engage English learner families. They also participate, obviously, in the school site council. With communication, Parent Square, you can choose the language with which Parent Square is offered. And also a lot of communication from sites. I know Cooper in particular goes out in both Spanish and English. The criteria for classification. So in California, the first thing is that you enroll. So the first time that you're enrolling in a California school, one of the next steps is that you fill out a survey, and every parent is required to complete the home language survey. It has 4 questions on it. If any of the first 3 questions are identified as a yes, so a language other than English, then you're identified as someone that would need to take the initial LPAC. The initial LPAC needs to be administered within 30 days of enrolling in a California school, and that's calendar days. And then based on the assessment, there are a couple of things that could happen. One would be that you take the initial and you're identified as initially English language proficient, which is IFEP, or you would be identified as an English learner, and then that's when you would be qualified to receive those English language development services based on the English language standards, English language development standards. The English learner population in Carmel Unified, since I wrote that, it's actually 42. A student was recently reclassified as English language proficient based on the criteria that I'll outline in a minute. But you can see that we're at 43 and then previously 60s to 70s. The home language survey indicates Spanish is the most prolific language after English, then Mandarin, and then a wide range of additional languages. I would like to note that the home language survey, everyone fills that out. That doesn't mean that your student is an English language learner, so it's much larger than those 43 indicated there. The student group highlights there are 16 newcomers. Newcomers are identified in the state of California as students who have been in the United States for 3 years or less. There are 6 students who are identified as LTELs, which is a long-term English learner. These are students who have been identified as an English learner for 6 or more years. There are 7 students that are at risk, which means they have been identified as an English learner for 5 years or more. And there are 12 students within the population of 43 who are identified as we call them dually identified, which means these are students who are English learners and they also have an IEP. Why does this support for English learners matter? Equity and access for all of our students is critical and a fundamental part of who we are. Also, it aligns with the college and career readiness for all students. And it ties directly into the strategic plan area 1, which is the student achievement and instruction, as well as 3 portions or 3 goals within the LCAP, goal 1, goal 2, and goal 3, which involves engaging students, also the personal wellness that Steve just spoke about, as well as engaging staff in high quality instruction and professional learning. If students are identified based on the initial LPAC as English learners, yearly they take the summative LPAC until they reclassify, and I'll speak about reclassification in just a minute. There are 4 domains within the LPAC. There's speaking and listening, and there's reading and writing. When they're scored together, speaking and listening are kind of grouped together, and reading and writing are grouped together. The score that students get is 1 to 4, 4 being proficient and 1 being emerging. The criteria for classification in Carmel Unified, all students in the state of California need to obtain a 4 on the summative LPAC. There's also an alternative LPAC for students with disabilities, and they need to go through a process to be identified if they are eligible to take the alternative LPAC. But, and on that one, they would need to obtain a 3. On the summative LPAC, it's a 4 is the first criteria. The second criteria is objective teacher input. The third criteria is parent consultation, and the fourth criteria is basic skills. So as an example, CASP scores. The reclassification rate in Carmel Unified is 30%. It is about 15% for the state of California as a whole. And last year, 19 students were reclassified. I'm going to show you a couple of slides. You'll notice a couple of little differences in this. This says that 38.3% were proficient. I'm using the reclassification rates for the 24-25 school year. We can get summative LPAC scores at the end of a school year, say June 1st. And then often if that student's in 2nd grade, we're going to wait and reclassify them when we start the school year at the beginning of the school year. We do try and do the testing early so that we can reclassify students who are transitioning between, say, 5th and 6th grade or 8th and 9th grade, so that that impacts their scheduling and things. So this shows that our proficiency rate on the LPAC, the summative LPAC last year. This shows nicely the LPAC scores from 2023 24 to 2024-25, and in the right-hand corner you can see that a 4 is well-developed or proficient. The 3 is moderately developed. We call that bridging, so you're heading to the next level. Somewhat developed or expanding, and 1 being minimally developed or emerging. And you can see the numbers. The blue has grown significantly as well, which is the proficient. And this is LPAC growth. You hope for at least 1 or more levels of growth per year. And you can see that the darkest orange yellow that would be some students who moved down 1 or more levels. The light yellow is they didn't move any levels. The tealish 1 level, and blue 2 or more levels. A focus that we have, and we saw that at the very beginning in the key takeaways, is the building staff capacity. This is really important to help staff be able to serve all of our students. We've been working with professional development. This year we have a series of 4 professional development series. Originally it was for elementary teachers, but there was interest from middle and high school, and so we expanded it and tried to get as many people as we can with number of substitutes, right? Because it's 4 full day trainings throughout the year. Our first one was on integrated ELD, and our next one on November 6th is on designated ELD. We have had staff last year and then this year as well will be attending the California Association for Bilingual Education Conference, Connections and Key Takeaways. There's a lot of information and presented from the CDE as well as from the Sacramento County Office of Education, which does a lot with the LPAC work. So it's a great conference to really work with others on and make connections and bring that back to our site. And also coaching in professional learning communities and site-based learning. Last year at Cooper, we engaged in doing a whole series of our staff development on English language development for all of our students, pairing them and working to make sure that we're supporting them in the best ways possible. Other sites have also done. I'm just highlighting, obviously, because I happen to know Cooper well. Reflections are glows. We continue to increase our reclassification rates. We have made stronger family partnerships and so many student success stories. A highlight for me was sitting with a high school student at the strategic planning, and she was sharing about her journey as an EL student and how she's now taking CTE classes that are going to put her in a nursing program right out of high school, which was amazing. Our GROWs continuing to support those LTELs, those long-term English language learners, is an area of growth, and continuing to expand that professional learning for both that integrated and designated ELD for all teachers across the district, because all of us really are language teachers. The next step, we want to continue supporting those LTELs, creating that consistency and alignment in practices across sites, expanding that professional learning and family engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. There was no request for public comment, so we'll open it up for board discussion. So what I attempted to do on the last time is take the heat off of Rita so she didn't have to go first every time. But if you're okay, I'll call on you and we'll work our way down the line, or we can just open it up that anybody can chime in and start the conversation. Sounds good.
Thank you for this presentation. I know sometimes this is always highlighted on spreadsheets and like when results and scores come out. So it's really nice to have like a focused presentation on this to understand what we're doing in this department. And so a couple questions. On page 5 or 6, I can't tell from my iPad what page it's on. So the numbers have gone significantly down from 67 down to 43, 25, 26. Population over time. Would you be able to share, is this from reclassification or is it students moving out, or what was the reason for, I guess?
I think it's a combination of factors. One example is like I can use at Cooper this year, we noticed that the students incoming who were taking an initial, they are multilingual learners, but they're identified as English language proficient.
Okay.
So that's one factor.
Yeah.
I think housing is another factor that plays into it. I can speak in Big Sur that a lot of their parents are still there, so there isn't housing for younger families in the area to move in. And so while there's still a large population of English learners, I think the housing is also an issue. And I would also say that it's a time where people often write English for all of the questions, and this has, for all of the questions, and that's not necessarily the case in the family. So I think that there are English learners that are not identified because of not wanting to currently identify themselves.
Okay. On page, I think 9 and 10, the LPAC score percents and LPAC growth. So the scores have increased from 66.7. I'm just counting from moderate, like 3 and 4s.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to see the increase. Congratulations on all the hard work. Would you be able to explain, I guess, a little bit more detail, page 10, the LPAC growth compared to, I guess,
thank you. I was hearing
to the
whispers.
scores.
Hold on. I'm like, yes, I remember this slide in my head, but Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Could you repeat what you wanted me to?
So
share
I'm
with them?
looking at both slide scores and the growth. And so I'm happy to see the scores go up.
Yeah.
But looking at the growth, I guess, if I'm just looking at the moved, the different levels that they're moving, it looks like there's good growth there. So I just wanted to understand that slide a little bit more,
No problem. So,
just in general.
yeah, no problem at all. So the darker orange, we can see that those who have gone down one level have actually, the percentage of that has decreased.
Okay.
And the same thing with those.
Which
that
is a
was-
good thing.
Which is a great
Yes.
thing.
Mhm.
And the people, the students in the yellow have also gone down. So I'm just gonna walk over here.
Yeah.
So these two sections.
Hey, Kara, it's kind of important that you speak into the microphone for those at home to make sure they can hear what you're saying.
Sorry. All right. That was the teacher in me. I'm like, we're going up there. I'm going to get out some markers.
You could take my mic, maybe.
Oh, gosh, technology. Well, all right, not one that I can use.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's okay.
Okay.
Okay,
The
yeah.
yellow, the two yellowish sections have
Mhm.
gotten smaller,
Smaller.
which is a
Mhm.
good thing because
Yes.
those are students who have moved 0 levels or have
Mhm.
gone moved down like negatively.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the two bluish colors have gotten larger, which is great because that's showing those students what we want, which is to move at least one level. And a
Okay.
lot, I mean, 12.5% have moved 2 or
Yes.
more levels last
Yeah.
year, which is fantastic.
Exactly. So I wanted
Oh,
the
okay.
folks, I don't know if anyone's watching at home, but
Okay.
for them to understand that this slide is a really good slide to show the growth that we've had. With the scores as well. So I guess that's it really. I wanted to just thank you so much for all your hard work in this area, and I think it's definitely important to continue professional development and learning because I think that's where the difference will be made mostly, and to have a positive impact for the students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I know I moved here in first grade, and just from seeing the English learners in my grade from first grade to now, it's been amazing to see the growth that they've had, and that's really because of this English language program that we have at our schools. And it's really been great to be able to see how far they get and how like a lot of them are taking advanced classes and they're able to like really understand everything because of this help that we give them early on to make sure that they are set up for success throughout the rest of school and then also later on into their future. So that has been great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love to see the statistics, the reclassification, even though it's not a direct science, but seeing that people are reclassifying and then the rate at which they reclassify since kind of the pre-COVID year and then throughout, that speaks volumes to what this district has the capacity to do when it focuses. And somewhere in the middle, you highlighted that it's an equity program and it is essential to the quality of the condition of education in the school district at all the sites. And I think that's really important to identify that even though we're only talking about maybe 43 plus or minus students amongst the 2,200, that with emphasis, with effort, we can all continue to become better and we do a better job. We become a better community when everybody has the equal opportunity to participate in the equal access. So congratulations in your second year on this success. And I know how much work it takes and we see it in the Cooper community for sure. It makes a huge impact and it's inclusive and important. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well said, Matt. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, I feel like you should be so proud of slides 9 and 10. The growth and the movement is just exceptional, and it's because of all the hard work that you and your team are doing. So thank you for that. I just had one quick question about the students that are categorized as at risk. So, and I'm sorry if I missed this. So are they being categorized as at risk or wherever they fall on that scale after they take the summative LPAC test?
Yes, so students who have been identified as English learners, so after the initial test, and have been English learners for 6 years are considered long-term English learners. And then 5 years is at risk. We do monitor, we monitor all of the students, but really start looking at that 3-year, right? English learner for 3 year, English learner for 4 year, trying to find ways to support them better and adapt the program and help support them in the English language development standards as well.
That's great. And I think if I'm understanding all these charts and everything correctly, I mean, the ones that are at risk, they don't stay there for very long, right? It sounds like there's momentum in their movement based on the plan that you put in place to kind of keep them moving through.
Yes, I think all students, we try and support them. I think that supporting LTELs is an area of growth. And we look at that too, because sometimes a long-term English language learner might have been a long-term English language learner and transferred to our district in 9th grade, right? So then versus a student who started here in 1st grade, right? And looking at how we support those homegrown, right, versus transferring. We support them all, but the supports that we give them along the way continue.
That's great. Yeah. Thank you so much.
One of the things I was really excited to see is the stronger family partnerships and the GLOWs. Can you just expand a little bit on how the district is working on developing those partnerships?
So districts have a threshold where they need to have ELACs or English language committees that support the schools. Our district doesn't meet that threshold, and we continue to do that to ensure that we're building those partnerships with family and giving critical voice to parts of our communities that perhaps don't always feel heard or seen within certain places. And so that's one way that we do it. Also, school site councils and other activities. I know that at Cooper this year we started Cafecitos with bringing in people from the district office, as well as having time with the counselor or myself to talk about different and important topics within the community, and they're open to everyone. And then there's a lot of parent education that's not, it also speaks to the SEL. We recently had one with Ohana down at Cooper. There's a series coming up at the high school that's supporting that. So it's just really trying to get as many people involved in supporting all of our students.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. I have no questions.
Okay, thank
Have
you.
a good night. And this was information only, so no action will be taken. Agenda item 5C, resolution number 25-17 for the 2026-27 fiscal year California State Preschool Program continued funding application with Child Development Programs Director Laura Dunn.
Laura doesn't have to come up here. I just want to comment. This is a routine and annual item. It can go on the consent calendar moving forward. This happens annually. It is a requirement for funding our early childhood education program, which Laura Dunn is the director of. She is here if we do have questions, but this is really about securing funding from the California Department of Education, and it is an annual requirement.
If there are no questions or comments, may I receive a motion?
If there's no questions, I'll go ahead and make a motion. But before that, thank you, Laura, for everything that you and your teachers and your staff do. I'd like to move to approve resolution number 25-17 for the 26-27 fiscal year California State Preschool Program continued funding application approval request as presented.
Second.
Board President Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Agenda item 5D, declaration of need for fully qualified educators with Chief Human Resource Officer Craig Chavez.
Good evening. You've actually seen this document once already this year. This is bringing it back for an amendment that will be sent up to the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. It was identified that we had an additional need in the area of Spanish. We are actively working with one of our staff members and our county credentials analysts and working towards completing all the requirements, and this allows us to have the extra time to do that.
If there are no questions or comments, may I receive a motion to approve the revised declaration of need for fully qualified educators as presented?
I move to approve as presented.
Second.
Board President Jason Remenzi,
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello,
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines,
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer,
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 5E, tentative agreement between the California School Employees Association and its Chapter 190 and the Carmel Unified School District and associated AB 1200 public disclosure documents with Chief Human Resource Officer Craig Chavez.
So people often wonder when my presentations happen, but this is the result of the work that I do on a regular basis with our bargaining units. And I'm excited to bring to you this particular tentative agreement and our work with CSEA, of which I have two representatives here as well. And I'm glad to tell you that it has been ratified by CSEA. The documents that were required to be sent to the county office, the AB 1200 documents, which allow them to review our finances in relation to this particular agreement, have also been approved. In regards to this item, there are several areas. In this are language and agreements around hours and overtime, salary and wages, grievance procedures, safety conditions, leaves of absence, disciplinary action, duration, and putting the bow on the reclassification study. It is unusual, I will tell you as a board, to have this many items typically. It was a successor agreement, which means that the entire contract was open for negotiations. These were the areas in which we reached agreements and were identified. What would be more typical in between is not as many items in terms of the negotiations. So this is a special year as we start a successor agreement. That is one of those items, and so this agreement is running from 2024 to 2027. And I'm available for any questions or clarification you may have.
Thank you, Craig. Are there any questions or comments from the board? If not, may I receive a motion to approve?
I move to approve the tentative agreement between CSEA and its Chapter 190 and CUSD and associated AB 1200 public disclosure document as presented.
Second.
Board President Jason Remenzi,
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello,
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines,
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer,
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 5F, tentative agreement between Association of Carmel Teachers and the Carmel Unified School District with Chief Human Resource Officer.
I'm equally excited to bring this to you in regards to our contract negotiations with the Association of Carmel Teachers. I know that Bill has also expressed his pleasure in regards to that, and he's not here this evening, but we have spoken. There are two items in which we're wrapping up. One is around the duration, so setting the term from 2024 to 2027, as described with CSEA. And then additionally, there was the addition of our child development teachers to the bargaining unit. And as a result of that, there are various places in the contract that don't strictly apply to that particular group of our organization. So this negotiations allowed us to go ahead and have conversations and agreements around how the contract will apply to that group of our employees, which is different than our teaching population that is a part of the contract previously. Yes.
Go ahead.
So were they non-represented?
They were non-represented
Represented
previously, that's
previously.
correct,
Got it.
yes.
Okay.
They were actually added to the bargaining unit before this year. It took us a little bit of time to get to this point in which we actually were able to work through all of the articles in the contract. Absolutely.
If there's no further questions, may I receive a motion?
I'll make a motion to receive the 2025-2026 ACT initial.
Actually, the one before that,
Oh,
I'm
sorry. Sorry. I'll make a motion to approve the tentative agreements between CSCA and its Chapter 190 and CUSD and associated AB 1200 public. Am I on the wrong one?
It's F.
Which I thought,
Yeah, it's how it's written in the agenda. So the way it was, so if you,
Oh, it's not
Yep.
initial.
F, okay.
She's got it. That'll be for yours next.
Okay, I knew something, okay. Okay, no, it's okay. I thought I was going crazy. We'll try this again. I'll make a motion to approve the tentative agreement between the Association of Carmel Teachers and the Carmel Unified School District.
Second.
Board President Jason Remenzi,
Yes.
Board Clerk,
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello,
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines,
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer,
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Agenda item 5G, collective bargaining agreement negotiations with the Carmel Unified School District with Chief Human Resource Officer Craig Chavez still.
And this is an item that you don't take action on. It is actually just being presented for public comment and receipt by you, the board. This is the sunshine proposal from ACT, and that includes 2 articles that have been sunshined, one on salary and wages, and Article 4, unit member health and welfare benefits. And so this is being presented to everyone. It's a part of our requirement.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Nope. Moving on to item 5H, adopt the 2025-26 Carmel Unified School District initial proposal regarding collective bargaining agreement negotiations with the Association of Carmel Teachers, still with Craig Chavez.
So people often ask why they call it a sunshine proposal. It's because it starts the process, just like the sunshine starts the day. This proposal from the district, I have to make sure everybody understands my work. This proposal from the district to ACT reflects 3 areas. One, Article 2, salary and wages. Article 4, unit member health and welfare benefits. And Article 9, unit member evaluation. Those areas, in terms of the specificity, if you can go ahead and open the attachment for me, that would be appreciated. We have a couple of items. Thank you, Pancho. We have a couple of items in the area of salary and wages. One is proposing to negotiate compensation alignment with other employee groups in the district. Also, we have a need to do some updates in our extra duty stipends based upon some new activities that are going on in the course of our business. Unit member health and welfare benefits, that is an ongoing conversation in regards to that particular area and any increases and their potential impact. And then finally, unit member evaluations, one that may not have been on anyone's radar, yours specifically. In 2024, the California standards for the teaching profession were updated, and so the district has an interest in working with ACT to update our evaluation process to reflect those updates. That is all I have for you.
Thank you, Craig. Are there any questions or comments from the board? If not, may I receive a motion?
You want me to try this one? I move to adopt the 2025-2026 CUSD initial proposal regarding collective bargaining agreement negotiations with ACT as presented.
Second.
Board President Jason Remenzi,
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello,
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines,
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer,
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
The following item, this is agenda item 6. The following item was presented to the governing board for information purposes only and does not require board discussion or action. And that was the quarterly report on the Williams uniform complaints. And we
I have one
go ahead.
point of information on the Williams complaint. It just looked like there was a box that wasn't checked on the form itself. I just want to make sure we're adopting the form properly.
You don't need to adopt
we're
it.
not
We
actually,
just, it's for information only.
Okay, cool. When there are no complaints, does the first box, is it meant to get checked? I was just, okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, thank you.
Thanks for looking out. Agenda item 7, public comments on non-agendized items. Public comments on non-agendized items. Members of the public may address the board regarding items or topics within the board's jurisdictions that are not on the agenda at this time. And we will start with Kristen Camillo.
Hi. First, I'd like to start by thanking Mr. Ishler in the woodshop program at the middle school. He's absolutely amazing. He's always there a couple times a week. So and then he made woman from the rib of man. I teach my kids that we have two genders, male and female. I have boys, and I teach my boys God made every hair on their head. You can't change their boy heart, their boy feet, their boy teeth, their boy legs, their boy arms. And let me tell you, when my kids were babies and their hands found their privates, it was a joy and amazement that started very young. I can tell them that they can't change enough of their DNA and body parts to make them less of a man. I do not stand for child mutilation. I just had a patient in my dental hygiene chair that lost a toe. He had to learn to walk again. He has lifelong adjustments from losing one toe. He feels the loss of one toe. I can't imagine the loss and emotional trauma kids will endure in life when they decide to amputate. I want my boys to love every part of themselves. We focus on finding their gifts, what they're good at, nurturing them. I teach them not to worry about other people's gifts. Let's find yours. Then use your gifts to help others. I'm a hygienist, and I help kids in our community learn how to brush their teeth with my nonprofit, God's Tooth Fairies, and I helped the Carmel School District just last month. I would like to end with this. Please keep personal pronouns out of the school district and keep instruction on the curriculum at hand. If this substitute teacher doesn't want to do this, maybe this teacher isn't a good fit for the Carmel School District and isn't invited back. I've gotten no response from the principal or Mr. Chavez on opting these kids out of this kind of instruction. In the Bible, Corinthians 13, it says there's faith, hope, and love. The greatest gift is love. I can love hurting people, but I don't have to agree with their choices. I pray for them. No hate, no criticism. I try to listen to their stories, and I quietly pray. Hard people to love, hurting people, hurting kids still need love. Please keep personal pronouns out of the classroom and instruction, or let my kids opt out. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, informal report with Superintendent Sharon Ofek.
I don't have anything at this time.
Okay. Item 9, board committee reports. These are routine committee updates from the CUSD Board of Education, board representatives for our Community Human Services, the Mission Trails Regional Occupation Executive Board, and the Monterey County School Boards Association Executive Council / Legislative Representative Liaison. And we'll start with our Community Human Services representative, Rita.
Not too much to report there. We've had the main focus right now is the recruitment process for a new CEO. So there was a committee formed for that. And I think PG Unified School District has a representative on that committee. So as far as the school systems go, we'll be represented.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Mission Trails Regional Occupation Executive Board Representative Jake.
We have not met since our last meeting here, so I don't have any other update other than we will be hosting the meeting in November.
Thank you. Is that open to all board members?
I mean,
Yes,
maybe.
all board members
Maybe.
can come.
When is it in November?
I will send the date to all of you. I don't want to get it wrong
No.
on the spot just right now, but it's next week, I believe next Thursday, a week from tomorrow. So,
Okay.
You have to be nice to me, and then I'll invite you.
Thank you.
Everyone's welcome.
And lastly, we have a report from our Monterey County School Board Association Executive Council Legislative Representative Liaison Matt.
So the Monterey County Office of Education attempted to meet in October but did not achieve a quorum, so the meeting was postponed and then canceled. But the one update is that the School Board Association Executive Council sent out a request to all school board members in the county asking about training topics. So each of the board members would have received a survey, and maybe administrators receive it as well. And so it was a broad net cast.
Superintendents.
Superintendents also received it. So MCOE has an interest in figuring out what training it is that people want to do. And so the first meeting will consist of talking about the results of that survey and then adopting a training agenda. That meeting date has not been reset yet.
Were we supposed to fill that out as a board or individually?
Individually.
the link was shared.
Mhm.
Can I provide a correction? I'm sorry. It
Yes.
is not next Thursday. It is November 13th. This is why I didn't want to make a call on this day, but November 13th.
Thank you, all three of you, for taking the extra time to go to these meetings and report back to us. Moving on to item 10, closed session. Before adjourning to closed session, the board will identify the closed session items, and we have an opportunity for public comment on these items. A, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, subdivision D2, one case. B, public employee discipline, dismissal, release pursuant to Government Code 54957, subdivision B1. C, conference with labor negotiator pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, agency designated representative Craig Chavez. Employer organizations were the CSCA, ACT, and non-represented groups. Item D, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code 54956.8, property Dow, property adjacent to 4380 Carmel Valley Road, Carmel, APN 015-021-018, and usually they have a trailing 000 also. And 015-021-035, agency negotiator Yvonne Perez, chief business official. Negotiating parties were the City of Carmel by the Sea under negotiation, price and terms of payment for lease. Item E, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code 54956.8, property 27885 Robinson Canyon Road, Carmel Valley, County of Monterey, APN number 169-131-005. Agency negotiator Yvonne Perez, chief business official Jessica K. Johnson of Dennis, Wolver, and Kelly. Negotiating parties County of Monterey under negotiation, price, terms, and strategy for sale of property. The board did not receive any requests for public comment on closed session items, so we will adjourn into closed session at 6:53 p.m. Thank you. Good evening. Coming out of closed session, the board reports the following. For item 10A, 10C, 10D, and 10E, the board met with district staff and provided direction. For item 10B, no discussion occurred on this item. I adjourn this meeting at 8:27 p.m.